here at SNC-Lavalin's offices in downtown Montreal, and how great is it I get to ask more questions. I'm talking with Mark Adams, and if you can maybe tell us your title and what you do at SNC, and then we'll have a chat about your role in mining and net zero.
Great. Thanks, Belinda. It's great to talk to you today. My name is Mark Adams. I'm Vice President of Studies and Technology in SNC-Lavalin's global mining and metallurgy business. So responsible for business and corporate development, risk management, and those activities of the business.
Okay, great. Well, we were chatting a little bit before on our respective roles in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, getting to net zero by 2050. It's a big challenge. We're looking at it from a different lens. So Lamico, we're here at the very beginning, looking to explore and develop as a responsible operator graphite and lithium projects in Quebec for North America. And if you can share with me what your view is as a partner to a company like ours to get to net zero. What's your vision? What do you want to see happen, and what's SNC's role?
Yeah, so I think at SNC we really see mining's contribution to net zero as twofold. The first piece is really companies like Lamico and the operators who are developing the projects that are going to produce the metals and minerals that we really need as a society to get to net zero, to produce the infrastructure and technology. That's the first piece. The other piece is we have to do that as responsibly as possible. So how do we decarbonize the process of creating those metals, getting them out of the ground and refining them? And those are really the offerings that we want to be part of as SNC, and we want to offer to our customers. So those are things like we want to help benchmark, for companies to look at what are they currently doing and how could they do better? Where are their emissions coming from and what kind of projects could they do? Then the next piece is how can we help them execute those projects to actually improve the greenhouse gases they're producing at their site? And lastly, we want to help them monitor in the longer term. So really those kind of three things are the things we want to help customers do as they're producing the metals required.
Okay. And I think that's interesting because all of those things we have to be looking at as we do our studies to move the project forward. I'm curious in terms of, you are a Canadian company, you have projects all over the world. What do you think the opportunity is for Quebec, for Canada to become a leader in the extraction, the mining of these raw natural resources, these critical minerals?
Yeah, I think Canada is, obviously we're a really well-endowed country in terms of mineral resources, and especially here in Quebec. There are a lot of resources in this province, and especially the resources that are becoming hotter right now, like the metals required to go into batteries, like the metals that Lamico is looking to produce. So I think there's tremendous opportunity for us to be a leader in the production of these minerals in a responsible way, and to basically de-risk the value chain of the metals. A lot of the metals we rely on for batteries and the technologies we're going to need to get to net zero are currently, a lot of them are coming from China. And with everything going on, with the political instability both in China as well as Russia, the war in Ukraine, I think it behooves us to look at where can we get those metals more locally in Canada, in Quebec, in the US, with countries that we partner with. So I think there's a big opportunity to develop these projects in countries like Canada where we know we can do it as responsibly as possible.
Okay, so you would be, I would say, a good partner for Lamico, who's looking to do that. And would you look at supporting businesses from PEA stage going forward? Do you see that as the right time to be thinking about a decarbonized mine, as
Absolutely.
an example?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. SNC does work all the way from very early on in a project, helping with scoping and pre-feasibility studies through to feasibility studies, engineering design, and then constructing the projects themselves, and of course helping operate, maintain them. Like I said, looking at how can we get better as we go. But I think you're absolutely right, Belinda. That's the area to start, is at the study phase. Look at how can we do this in a better way, and we're seeing more mining companies want to do that. Looking very early, how can we build the mine of the future using technologies that make the production of graphite or lithium or anything, how do we make that green lithium, green graphite from the start? There's a lot of Canadian companies looking at that, so it's definitely an area we want to be able to support you on.
Okay, and I think just building on what you said, the mine of the future, I love that because I always am thinking, what does that look like outside of the box? And I would say that a company like yours, you have a big presence, you have the ability to create a brand around the extraction of these critical minerals. And I think it'd be really neat if you were to think about a demonstration plant. Is that only to demonstrate the technical viability of your ore and your product for the customer, or is it also an opportunity to show the community what a modern mine of the future looks like? Can you maybe comment a little bit about getting the average person who's not in our industry to get excited about what we do and support us?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the public is our biggest stakeholder, right? The public and their caringness of the environment. That's our biggest stakeholder in mining, and I think it's unfortunate that mining has a bad reputation, right, in this country and around the world for being a big polluter. And it is true that the mining industry, when you include steel production, produces 5 to 10% of all greenhouse gases that go out into the world per year. So that's a lot. I think we need to get the public on board. And I think it starts with sharing that message about the importance of, we can't stop mining. A lot of people think, well, mining's a big producer, we should mine less, and then we'll produce less carbon. But what we're missing is, going back to, what we talked about earlier, is we need those metals and minerals in order to decarbonize other industries like transportation, infrastructure, et cetera. So without the metals and minerals, we can't do that. And I think it starts by just sharing that with the public and having them understand that that is critical. We need, in fact, more mining, but at the same time, we need to do it more responsibly. I'm also seeing a lot of investors, which I'm sure you are as well, that really care about these issues of net zero and doing things responsibly. And so to your point about a demonstration plant, if you can demonstrate in a study phase or in a demonstration phase that what you're going to produce it greenly, I think you're going to get a more modern investor, a more important investor that's going to want to be part of that, because I think that's what a lot of the public and investors are looking for these days.
I totally agree. I think that one of the things we've done a lot of great things in this sector at the community level, which the community often knows about, the general public not so much. And I think it's great if we can show people what can be done, and we are entering into a new way of doing things. There is a mine of the future. There is a critical minerals sector of the future. And I think that working together to brainstorm ideas like this is a really exciting thing to do, and show people what can be done, what is possible.
Absolutely.
Well, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you.